then you might not want to see this. Do look away now. People are also getting angry about the new transporter. Saw lots of blue flashing lights, and the taxi driver actually crossed himself. I was stranded. My bucket list trip to Spain had turned into a disaster. We were caught in the worst flood that the city of Seville had ever seen. The city was totally gridlocked and all the trains were cancelled. There were lots of tears, which I will explain. But what I didn't know then was that chaos was about to reiterate the most important lesson about travel, adventure, and the whole point of the campervan lifestyle. This story doesn't start with a flood. It started with a plan. For years I've dreamed of walking at this place, the Caminito del Rey, once considered one of the most dangerous paths in the world. As a base for this, we used a little village in Andalusia region of Spain called Fuente de Piedra. And there is a campervan conversion company there called Bull Campers, which, looking on the Instagram, seems that they make some lovely vans. Maybe next time I'm there, then I might actually pop in. That's if they speak English, of course. My Spanish isn't very good. Hola, and not much more after that. Anyway, Fuente de Piedra is famous for two things. One is the big laguna and its flamingos, and the other being its two, well, let's call them gentlemen's venues, where you can buy much more than just drinks. So whilst we were there, we went to one of these things. Not one of those things, no, we went to the laguna, obviously. The village currently is being taken over by lots of flamingos, because in the big lake there's lots of flamingos normally, although at the moment there's not much water there, so there's not many flamingos. But in and around the village there's loads of these models of flamingos doing various different things. One of them's kind of taking photo of some other flamingos hatching out, and one's at the gym, and yeah, there's lots of them around the little village. It's quite cool to see. But on our way down to the laguna, I came across a motorhome, and this motorhome had a sticker on the back of it which had the heart cardiogram sticker with a motorhome, quite similar to what I've got on my Staycation Lifestyle Yeti mug. And that's another reminder of what I'll come on to a little bit later on. Now, at the laguna, we were actually really lucky to see some flamingos. Like I've said, there aren't many of them at the moment because the water level is incredibly low, and we even saw a few fly. Being out there in the nature was really amazing, but even more so, on the way back, we actually saw a rather large spider. So if you are frightened of spiders, then you might not want to see this. Do look away now. And I believe that this spider is a wolf spider carrying its babies on its back. And you can see from the image of me stood in front of it just how big it is. Just one of the incredible things that I witnessed. And this is the point, isn't it? These are the moments, and they cost absolutely nothing. And they're a million miles away from those online arguments about new vans. Yeah, you've probably seen them in the comments. And that brings me on to the main reason why I was here, my bucket list trip. It was half term and we only had a few days. And it's not really something that I thought I'd be able to do in the serene heat of the summer. So with that short time frame, driving down from England just was not going to be possible. So it was going to be trains, planes, automobiles, and that also included a Volkswagen Caddy and a Peugeot Rifter, which I actually quite liked that. Now, we drove to Caminito del Rey, and there was an abundance of campervans. You know, even my wife commented how many of them there actually were. And there was a wide variety of registrations of them, registered to various different countries across Europe. People had driven from all over the place. All these campervans, but there was something missing. Of all these campervans and all these motorhomes, I'd expect to see loads of the latest modern, expensive ones. But I didn't. There were loads and loads of older vans, some looking rather battered, and so much so that I didn't even think they looked roadworthy. Yet there they were, experiencing the history, the amazing views, and the wonders of this outdoor lifestyle. And it proved that point which I've been trying to make for ages. People weren't there because they had that £100,000 campervan. They were there because they had that desire to be there. The van, old or new, was just the means of getting there. What really does it matter what somebody drives? The experiences can largely be the same, although the gadgets can make things a little bit better in some cases. You know, it's funny though, because online I get negative comments all the time that the new vans are too expensive. Yeah, they are expensive. The base vans have practically doubled in the last decade. Cars, vans and motorbikes are now really all expensive. You know, whether it's justifiable or not, whether the prices are rightly or wrongly priced, the base prices are much higher. People are also getting angry about the new transporter, commonly known as the T7, or not as the case may be. The fact that it is a Ford Transit, and saying that nobody's buying them. Yeah, the new Ford Transit, Ford Transporter, new Transporter, they are the same vehicle practically, but the Ford is built by Ford and the VW is built by VW. But people are saying that nobody's buying them, and that isn't actually true. People are buying them, but as manufacturers have only really been getting them to convert since August, September. You know, they've only then just received the initial deliveries. We're not really going to be seeing loads on the road because we're only in October now. People are saying that they're going to be buying the Renault instead, or maybe a Citroen. They're saying new vans are expensive. You could stay in a hotel for that. You could buy a car and sleep in a tent. Vans are too small. And you know what? They're all absolutely valid debates. But standing in that gorge, being somewhere that I've wanted to be for a really, really long time, getting there not in a camper van but by other means, it really does show that none of it actually matters. You know, it doesn't matter if you love or you hate the new transporter, whether you buy a new van or you buy an old van, or don't buy any at all. Just get out there and enjoy the outdoors. Visit places that you desire to see. Experience the things that you dream of. And I'll explain soon that I had another experience I wasn't expecting when I visited another place I wanted to see. Anyway, whilst I was over there, I did see this hoodie, and it really did sum it up perfectly. This is a life where the journey is the destination, and every adventure writes a new story in the landscape. It's about living in harmony with the outdoors, finding serenity in the mountains, and feeling the pulse of the earth beneath. You know, it's a wording that you will have heard many, many times before in various different guises. You know, and if you need more proof that the real adventure is the journey, not the gear, then the world was just about to provide it. Now, the journey to Seville started on a train journey from Bobadilas train station, which is again in the near Antequera, the Malaga region, Andalusia, and the train was actually broken, so the toilets weren't working on it. It took absolutely ages to get up there because the train was stopping at each station to allow people to get off and go to the toilet. But as we approached Seville, I could see out the window that it was actually raining quite heavily. You know, so much so that a few minutes later, rain started coming in above our heads. Yeah, it was raining on the actual train itself. Arriving at the station, it was also leaking inside the train station itself. But little did we know at this point what was to come. You know, we left the station in torrential rain, thunder and lightning, of which some was really scary to some people. Children were really scared of it because, to be honest with you, it was pretty loud. You know, we wanted to travel all around the city to see these various places of interest, but with the weather, then we thought perhaps that public transport was going to be the best idea. We didn't know at this point, though, that the city was practically gridlocked and walking was the only real option. And that in itself was particularly challenging because you needed to try and find a dry pathway, but it wasn't easy in some places. There was literally water coming from everywhere. Big puddles, like the roads, you think, actually, yeah, I can get down there, but then you couldn't because you'd come across another great big puddle or something like that. And then looking at the cars, you know, they were just so much underwater. It just, yeah, it was rain like I've never seen it before. But I personally wasn't going to let it ruin my experience. I wanted to be there. There were things that I wanted to see. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see everything I wanted because we just couldn't get there. I did manage to get to Plaza de España though, and it was pretty wet, but rather amazing. It was lovely to see. like I said though, it wasn't going to stop me. I had the umbrella in one hand and I've got my phone in the other. I'm walking around taking pictures as everybody else is kind of in the dry. And when I say everybody else, pretty much everybody else. I don't know if you've ever been there, but I've been told that in the summer it's absolutely ram-packed. Well, on this particular day, it was pretty much just me outside. Everybody else was, like I said, taking shelter. But I experienced it and I loved it. Brilliant to see. Now, as the day progressed, we started to realise that some of the roads were closed, some of the pathways you just wasn't allowed down, all the parks got closed. But the weather did ease and even saw the sun coming out. We managed to walk past the bull ring and saw a few of the sights and things, but we didn't manage to do what we wanted to do. Now, as we headed back, we did try to book a taxi, but none were available. And still, at this point, we didn't really appreciate the severity of actually what happened. So with none being available, then we did have to walk back, which was about 45 minutes to the station. Anyway, we managed to get there in plenty of time, only to be told that no trains were running. And they didn't even have any suggestions, apart from, well, you could get a hotel. Obviously, it said it in Spanish. That really wasn't an option though, because we really needed to get back to base, because we were flying home the following day. So we walked to the next train station, which is the main train station. So they had hire cars, coaches, and the main taxi rank. So we queued for an hour for a taxi. But then we had the problem that there was like 5 of us. So we had to wait for one of the very, very few 7-seaters. And we had to wait a long time. But even bigger problem than that, we had to go 150 kilometers. So once we told the taxi driver where we were going, and he was very confused to why we wanted to go so far, we weren't even sure if he was going to take us. He took his money, he got out the car, and we were thinking, is he going to be coming back? Is he not going to be coming back? Fortunately, he came back 10 minutes later and he said, yep, I will take you there. Although not in those words, because he didn't actually speak a word of English, but thumbs up, obviously the universal sign of, yes, we are good to go. So off we went. But seeing the debris and the aftermath, it was really scary. And when we went through this tunnel underneath another road, so it kind of went in at both ends, saw lots of blue flashing lights. And the taxi driver actually crossed himself. Now, we didn't know what he meant because he obviously didn't speak any English. But there was obviously a lot going on there. Now, I don't know whether he was just praying that he hoped we'd get through, or I don't know. You know, it was a really stressful journey. It wasn't good. It was chucking it down as we got further down. And yeah, it was €200. It was chaos. It was crazy. But that experience is going to be something that I'm going to remember for absolutely ever. You know, I'm amazed at the nature of that situation and the history of beautiful Seville. You know, we didn't do everything which we wanted to do, and it's definitely somewhere which I would like to go back. But things don't always go how we plan them. Things go wrong. We don't know what's going to happen. You know, we're not here for long, and we never know what's around the corner. And trust me, my life has recently again been completely turned on its head. And in those moments, the peace that you find outdoors in nature, just doing things you love, you know, it's not a luxury. It's a lifeline. So what was missing from a perfect bucket list plan? Well, the point isn't the vehicle. The point is the life that it enables, you know, even the messy, chaotic, unplanned parts. So my question to you isn't what van should you buy? It's where is your adventure waiting? You know, it doesn't matter to me what you buy. Enjoy what you have, but what you want. Just be positive, you know, find that enjoyment in what you can, and don't put off doing things until tomorrow. Get out today, breathe in that fresh air, listen to the sounds of nature and see what you want to see, because there is no guarantee of tomorrow. Let's fill the comments with positivity. You know, what are your unforgettable travel stories? Do let me know what your thoughts are, where you've been or where you want to go. And you can have a look at here of some of the cool finds I found at the Motorhome and Caravan Show, or the Shop campervan sales here. Take care, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.